All right, everyone. Today we're going to be covering OTK Florian. So we've talked about mid-range Florian, which is mainly just trying to decompose to get your hero power online so that you can have more efficient turn cycles. But something that's been alluded to both by LSS as well as obviously the card pool is that you can build Florian to be more OTK minded, where you're going to stack a bunch of Runechants, opting instead to use Florian's hero power to double your Runechant generation as you get closer to that OTK number. Viceroy has some strengths with this kind of plan, mainly because if he can play multiple non-attacks in one turn that generate Runechants, he'll get a bit of a bonus, but a lot of these cards mainly are just going to only use one action point, so Florian actually can be a very powerful OTK hero, as well as having access to better defensive tech with the Earth Pool. We have some flexibility either to close the game out with things like Felling or channel the Millennium Tree. Our main game plan is to block out early game and then to decompose mainly through Rootbound Carapace so that we can get our hero power in line so we can generate a little bit more. We have some really good Runechant generation tools. We're talking things like Blessing of the Occult, Read the Runes, Runeblood Incantation, as well as Arcane Seeds and Life Plus Thistlebloom, probably once we get our hero power online. Some late game stacking can also involve Germinate, and we have some pretty good defense tech that also generates us more Runechants with Reduced to Runechant as well as Haunting Rendition. We're going to want to stack as much as possible. Ideally, we want to go first, maybe play something like a Runeblood Incantation into a Blessing or a Read the Runes, arsenal something like a Reduce, or even a turn 1 Germinate play is really good. And then from here on out, all we're going to do is just block a bunch, try to decompose with Carapace. If we have to go second and we block turn 1, perfectly fine to something like Felling or Summer's Fall so we can decompose a little bit faster. And then once we decompose, something like Reduced to Runechant is going to generate you 2 Runechants, Blessing will generate you 4, Runeblood Incantation will get you 6, Haunting Rendition will get you 3. You get the idea, right? Once the hero power is online, stacking becomes much faster. Channel the Millennium Tree is also really powerful, specifically because of its interaction with Scepter of Pain, where when you amp it, you actually gain that many Runechants. So if you can amp it by 4, and your opponent only brought AB1, even if they pitch to prevent some of it, they're still letting 3 go through and you're generating 3 Runechants or 4 if Florian is online. Once you've stacked all of this up, you have a couple different endgame options. You could opt to play something like Looming Doom and grind the game out for a little bit, sending things like Felling of the Crown or Ninth Blade. However, the easier game plan is probably just going to be stacking a bunch of Runechants, maybe getting close to your opponent's life total, and then just throwing a Ninth Blade and trying to end the game from there. After that, it's going to require a little bit of grinding, but it should be perfectly reasonable for the deck. And if you need to, you can always restack after your first combo turn, so you can stack up, play your Ninth Blade, rip their entire hand, drop them down to single-digit life totals, and then maybe on the following turn play something like a Germinate, or play a few other Runechant generators and do the same thing all over again. You can stack back up, throw another Ninth Blade, or if you stack high enough, you can just throw something like any blue attack like Autumn's Touch or Fruits or Summer's Fall, and it'll be enough to end the game just deterministically. Our sideboard is mainly teching for defensive matchups. I really don't think that this deck will excel into slower game plans, so things like Enigma. I don't think you're ever going to be able to clear her ward, specifically Mirror Guy, which is how she's going to win the game every single time in this matchup. You need so much tech. You need things like Rune Ragers, Swarming, E-Strike, Bramble, and that's just to have a chance of being able to clear the Mirror Guy. So we're just going to run our Summer's Falls, and we'll have to pivot if they establish Mirror Guy early. We're going to be playing this one a little bit more aggressively, but I'm not too worried about teching the sideboard too hard to beat that matchup because I already think it's really unfavored. And I think if you want to play a deck like this, you just have to concede that matchup. So our sideboard is mainly trying to just make sure that we lock in our good matchups, which are going to be defensive decks. So we have really good game into Guardian, Warrior, Assassin, these slower decks that can't push a lot of damage. And then we also have some inevitability against Kano, specifically because they can't tome stack you anymore, so things like Oasis actually do shut out their pitch stack combo. And that's pretty much the game plan. So you're going to be blocking a bunch, making a lot of Runechants, and then you're going to be throwing them all at your opponent for a bajillion damage. And that's kind of the game plan. It may be kind of a linear deck. Some people may like the game plan. I wouldn't be surprised if people who pick this deck up may get a little bit tired of it over time. It's pretty one-track minded, you know, it does one thing, but it executes it pretty well. And the puzzle and the excitement of getting to that threshold where you can actually just instantly one-shot your opponent is a pretty cool thing, especially if you're playing more on a tightrope and really trying to get those last few Runechants before you can find the 9th blade and pull the trigger. It can be quite a fun experience. So give this deck a shot, let me know what you think, but until next time, thank you for watching.